Welcome back to the PigPenPodcast. I am your host, Damien.
And I'm your other host, Justin.
And dude, obviously someone's probably expecting us to start talking about some stuff on the exposition seat, but what are we doing today?
Dude, this is our new show.
This is our new show?
Yeah, the review room.
The review room.
We're in a room now, and neither of us are in a seat.
Yeah, there's no seats in this room. We're standing.
And for anyone who's watching this as their first video on our channel, we have another show called The Exposition Seat that we usually do. And that's where we talk about video games and books for hours on end. But today we're not doing that.
No, we stepped out of the seat, walked into the review room, and we're here to review something.
Yeah, man.
And from the title of the episode, I'm sure you could tell that what we're reviewing, but what are we reviewing, Justin?
Sinners.
The new movie starring Michael B. Jordan, Sinners.
Directed by Ryan Coogler? Is that how you say it?
Coogler? I think it's Coogler.
Yes. Very good director.
And we both just went to go see the movie in theaters. Neither of us have talked about it, so I don't know his opinion. He doesn't know mine, and that's what we're going to do here.
We stayed silent.
Yeah.
We gave each other the silent treatment for minutes. Many minutes.
One might even say the most minutes.
Yeah, one could say that.
Yeah, one could. But, you know, if you haven't seen the movie Sinners, we are going to be talking about some spoilers. However, what we'll do for you specifically, my viewers who haven't viewed,
Yep.
is we'll give you a spoiler-free review real quick.
Yeah, if you want that, that's what we're gonna supply, and then we're gonna jump into spoilers, and we'll let you know before that.
And that'll just kind of be how it goes in the review room.
Yeah. So this is obviously a new structure for us. So if it sounds like we don't know what we're doing,
it's because we don't.
Maybe we don't.
Maybe
this is brand new.
I know that.
And we're learning.
Me and Justin, we sound like auteurs of podcasting.
Because we are.
We are. I mean, the Pigpen podcast is.
I've been doing this for years.
The most regarded. It's the highest reviewed podcast of all time.
You can tell by our view count. We're through the roof.
Yeah.
We literally have so many views. It started over. That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is like we had 14 million, and then 14,000,001 was the cap. So like 2 days ago, it went over the cap, and now it has to restart.
It went back to 4.
Yeah. So that's
where we're at. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So bear with us, but at the same time, we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time
talking about this movie.
I'm excited to see what you think, Justin.
Likewise,
because I got some thoughts on this movie.
Yeah.
But let's do the spoiler-free review.
Yeah, sure.
So, okay, the movie starring Michael B. Jordan, directed by
Ryan Coogler,
came out this year. It came out, I think, a couple weeks ago, but we just got to go see it.
Yeah.
The plot is, two twins. They come back to a town after being gone for a while to start a juke joint, I think is what they called it.
Yeah. So they went to Chicago. They came back to Mississippi, where these two twins, they're coming back to start a juke joint in their town that they grew up in. And I guess to not give too many spoilers, but essentially
some shenanigans happen in the night.
They get a bunch of their family and friends to help start this, to have their grand opening. And some shit goes down, man.
Yeah.
A monster in the house, might I say.
This movie what is the genre, according to Google?
Well, I feel like the structure of the plot is like a monster in the house plot. You know what I mean? Like, if in the bare bones of it, which would usually be called horror.
That was
not always
the most pretentious way you could say horror of all time.
Listen, I watched this one video, and it broke down. It was talking about how like every story is the same or something like that, and it broke down like every type of story, and Monster in the House is one of them. Ever since I watched that video, I just keep like watching movies or reading books and being like, all right, which one is this? Is this, honestly, know what I mean?
That's honestly kind of
maybe
nice.
Maybe it is pretentious.
Well, I want to watch that video now so I can do the same thing.
Yeah. But let me see though. What does Sinners? Yeah, horror adventure. I'd say adventure. Adventure is always.
Adventure is like the most broad genre of all time.
It is an adventure. I guess you could say.
I mean, every movie's technically an adventure. So
yeah,
I don't know. I hate that term. However, I would say it's a horror thriller.
I know. Adventure makes me think of a Dwayne Johnson, The Rock movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thinking of
Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I'm glad he wasn't in this movie.
No, I'm very glad.
The movie would be significantly worse if he was.
Yeah, but
Sorry
yeah,
to all my rock fans out there.
yeah. There's quite a bit.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand it.
I used to like him as a kid. You know what? Let's stop talking about him. He
Yeah.
doesn't need to be brought up.
We'll stop pissing some people off. Okay.
Okay. But yeah, so they go to start this juke joint, and then a lot of their family and friends help them out. They invite a bunch of people. Some shit goes down, and also I feel like I was gonna mention this, but when you watch the trailers, it doesn't really it doesn't. You don't feel how you feel when you watch the movie because it doesn't really show you in the trailer
The
how much.
trailer is a very different vibe to how the
Yeah,
movie actually
because
is.
it doesn't because the music is such a big part of the movie.
Yes, it's a massive part
And
of this
that you don't
movie.
really get that from the trailer, so
Not
I
at
don't think
all.
that's a spoiler. But
No. I
the
mean,
soundtrack and the background, like the blues, it's a huge part of the movie, and I feel like that's a big draw of it too, personally.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come through in the trailer whatsoever.
Yeah, and there's I mean, can we say what the monster is? Is that a spoiler?
There's two trailers to my knowledge, and in the second trailer they kind of show it off. So I think eh,
I mean, if listen,
it's in
if
this
you don't want to know, I guess then don't listen. But
yeah, it's in trailer 2. So I mean if
yeah, it's some vampires.
yeah, there's vampires in this movie.
And yeah, I guess you don't find out quick, but it's not
It's also not like
doesn't
a
take
huge
away.
reveal.
No, I don't know, and I like how they do reveal it, but
Yeah.
we'll get into that. We'll get into
Yeah.
that when we talk about the plot.
But overall enjoyment of this movie, Justin, like from start to finish, after just seeing it, what are you thinking?
I enjoyed it. I would recommend this
You would recommend it?
personally. Yeah.
Is there any like standouts without spoilers, like reasons why?
I feel like the movie's the movie has like I don't know what the word is. I want to say like ambiance, but I don't know. That feels a little weird. But I guess like it glues it you're glued to the screen. Me personally. I was glued to it, and it just made me feel it made me like
In the movie?
yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I would say I enjoyed it as well. I wouldn't say I loved it. There's a couple things that didn't jive with me, but we're gonna get into those with spoilers. But spoiler free, I enjoyed it, didn't love it. However, I still think it's worth seeing.
Definitely worth seeing.
And I agree. I mean, the vibe of the movie, ambiance, it's a pretty good vibe. I like, and I will say my biggest highlight,
Yeah.
spoiler free highlight is the acting performances in this movie
Stellar.
were stellar.
Michael B. Jordan, it was insane.
It was utterly crazy.
Yeah, he plays two characters. He plays twins.
Yeah.
And I forgot until the end where I was like, wait, yeah, this is the same dude
No, straight up.
playing both characters. I
You-
literally forgot.
You don't even remember that he's two separate. He's the same actor
Yeah.
for like the entire movie.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Both characters have completely different personalities.
Yeah. And he does a really good job. Like, honestly, I have a few more things I want to comment on, but we'll wait. We'll wait.
Yeah, we'll get into the spoiler.
Yeah.
We'll get more into that with spoilers. I do want to say before we do get into spoilers, I've noticed a weird like trend with movies in the past 2 years where they get one actor to play two characters. Have you
Yeah.
noticed that?
I don't know. How many movies have you seen like that?
Well, Mickey 17 came out
Oh,
not
that's
that long
true.
ago,
That's
and
true.
Robert Pattinson plays two.
That's true.
And then Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came out not that long ago before that,
Yeah.
and Jim Carrey plays two versions of Dr. Robotnik.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not like a bad thing. Like I liked all those movies. However, I'm just saying it's like it's weird that it's happened enough that I've noticed it in the past year.
That's true because it's not common.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of movies like that. Or
I mean,
maybe we haven't seen a lot of movies
There's
like that.
definitely movies like that. It's just I feel like it's been so on the nose lately.
Yeah, and I will say when I watch a movie that like when I realize that there's an actor playing, two different characters or like twins, I'm like, okay, this is either going to be really good
Or really bad.
or not fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think Sonic 3 with Jim Carrey, I think it was really good because it the plot called for it because
Yeah.
the other character that Jim Carrey plays is his grandfather,
Right, that's another thing. Like, does the plot
And then
is the
Mickey
plot
7,
elevated by that?
yeah, Mickey 17's entire plot was he's cloning. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess,
We've discussed that movie
yeah,
off camera, but
maybe we'll do a bonus
no, but you're right. Like
review one day, but
that is what his character is. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
In this movie, I wouldn't say the plot really called for it. They could have got a different actor to play
yeah, that's true
Stack.
actually. But it
However,
elevated it.
I 100% think it only made the movie better.
Yeah.
Because I think Michael B. Jordan's performance was so phenomenal in this movie, I legitimately forgot it was the same actor.
And it is fundamental to each of their characters too.
Yes.
About like their
Connection.
Their connection. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, final spoiler-free result, go see it. It's a good movie.
Definitely go see it.
But yeah. And for all of those people who've seen it with us or who don't care about spoilers, we're about to start spoiling it.
But if you haven't, to be honest, if you haven't seen it, get out of here.
Yeah,
now.
no, genuinely, this is a good movie to just go in and watch.
Yeah, leave us. We don't want your views anymore.
I'm a firm believer in watching something blind. Like maybe I'll watch a trailer occasionally if I'm like really hyped on a movie.
Yes.
But like most movies, I want to go in as blind as possible.
That's really why we didn't say as much as we could because, you don't need to know everything.
No, just know if it's good, go see it.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan had a good performance. It was some good ambience to the movie. Just
everybody,
go see it.
honestly, everybody had a good performance.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about that. And if you haven't seen it, you don't get to hear it until you do see it.
All right, so we're gonna do some spoilers, dude. In 3,
Absolutely.
2,
1.
Spoiler time.
I hated this. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
I'm not. This movie sucked balls.
Okay. So you know how I talked about earlier how we're like doing a new structure. So I was thinking we would talk about you know me. I love some word alliteration.
I know you.
So I figured we'd talk about like picture. So like cinematography, soundtrack, then like the performances, and then the plot.
Okay, so do you want to do picture first?
Yeah.
Okay, so the cinematography and the soundtrack, my opinions on them. The cinematography didn't really amaze me. It didn't do anything that I was like, yeah, that's insane. However, it didn't do anything bad. It was just pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I think the cinematography, like the actual camera movements, there is actually one standout scene, but other than that scene, I think it was fine. And the scene I'm talking about is like when the barn burns down and we have like that one shot of like going through the ages of music.
Yeah, oh yeah. That scene was phenomenal.
That scene was just like insane to watch. And the cinematography of that scene,
the goosebumps.
it blew me away. However, for the majority of the movie, it was pretty standard cinematics.
Okay.
I think.
See, I feel like the cinematography, the reason it felt like it didn't stand out was because of how much it's because it was subtly like super good. Because I don't know, because I feel like we were so focused on the music, but the cinematography elevates the music. Like there's so many scenes where certain things the characters do, like Baby Driver, where every single action and noise matches the music. That wasn't necessarily true with this movie, but there was a lot of scenes where it was, and I thought that was really cool.
Oh no, 100%. Like I'm thinking of the part where like the one girl that Sammy has a crush on is like singing and she's like stomping to the beat while the vampires are coming to life.
And also like the scene where man, I don't remember her name, but Smokes
the like witchcraft lady.
Yeah, his wife, or at least who he had the child with. Yeah. When she's talking to him about his what he had around his neck, and she's like doing the matches where she goes ch, 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 and it goes to the music, and then as she's like putting the stuff on the table, it's like bum bum. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. But that also has a lot to do with like the choreography of this movie, which is a whole other thing. Like the choreography of this movie was
the choreography, dude. Again, my mind gets drawn back to that one take when like they go through the ages of music.
Yeah.
And I guess that's like a perfect segue to like go into like the music of this movie. Music played such a big role that I was not expecting.
No,
at all. I was not expecting any of the music. This movie's borderline a musical at times.
Yeah, for real though.
And it's fucking phenomenal. Dude.
It is.
It is absolute peakage.
Yeah.
The music in this movie is so fucking good. It's just it literally, some of the songs were just giving me goosebumps, and I'm just, just there.
Yeah, and the songs also have a lot to do with the characters,
Yeah.
like what songs they sing.
Yeah.
And I also think too, like when it comes down to the performances, because sometimes when I am either it's a musical or a movie that has people singing, the performances aren't always 100%. And I feel like every musical performance in this movie was.
Yeah, no, everyone, I don't know if they like lip synced at all or if that was the actual actors like when they sang. I'm thinking of like Sammy's young actor.
Yeah.
His voice was insane.
Oh
His
yeah.
voice was beautiful. And
His normal speaking voice was.
I don't know if Sammy's like young actor was the actual one singing those songs, but oh my fucking god.
Yeah, I feel like it was because, like I said, his speaking voice matched his singing voice.
Yeah, no, it did. It seems like it. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like abrupt, like a different voice singing. It's not no Zac Efron in High School Musical
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But it was just it was godly, dude.
Yeah, it was very
Which is
good.
funny because the movie's called Sinners.
Yeah, which is also interesting too.
The religious aspect of this movie was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I feel like it was.
it wasn't it's like super on the nose.
No, it was on the nose, but it wasn't on the nose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the whole movie being Sinners and like the church, him being the preacher boy. Like there was so many references. It was very on the nose. However, the actual messaging of religious faith and shit was subtle.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because when the vampires are talking um about Smoke and Stack
Yeah,
and how they bought the juke joint, and even though it was a KKK like slaughterhouse basically.
yeah,
And it was, and when it's revealed like the way they made their money, in Chicago, it was like, blood money, all this. It's like basically everything leading up to this point was paved by blood, like the sinners. And it's like when you watch a horror movie and you kind of like take everything out, and you take it down to its bare bones, you're like, okay, why? It's like I was saying earlier, Monster in the House, which I know you said, it sounds like a little weird, but it's like, who caused this to happen? Who caused the bad evil thing to come? And it's like that's what this I felt like.
that is another thing though. Of like, I mean, technically, at the end of the day, it was Sammy's song that brought them there.
Yeah.
But it was also the twins. It was them buying it in the first place that brought them there.
Yeah.
And, it was the overly zealous family and oppression of the area that they lived in that brought them to Chicago in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like this whole chain reaction of events.
Yeah.
Um,
And also the thing of Sinners, like at the end, Sammy, he doesn't drop the guitar.
no, he doesn't, that's something I want to talk about when we get to like characters.
Yeah, or plot.
Plot. All right.
Plot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
We had picture, plot,
Picture and performance. You want to talk about performance?
performance, dude.
Maybe we talk about performance and characters.
Okay, yeah. So with that's the one thing I wanted to say that I didn't say in the spoiler-free part is that Michael B. Jordan, when he plays Smoke and Stack, and when Stack becomes a vampire, dude, already the characters felt like two separate like beings, but when Stack becomes a vampire, it's like a whole new fucking character.
Yeah.
So it's like Michael B. Jordan's playing three characters in this movie essentially.
Yes.
And they're all different.
Yeah, I know.
It's insane.
And also I noticed too the way he carries himself as each character is unique, and I like that. Like the way he carries himself as Smoke.
It's like stoic and like,
Yeah, but even the posture. The posture is different.
yeah. It's
Severance. That's the other one we were thinking of, where they play two characters.
oh yeah, because
Yeah.
every character in that show plays two
Yeah.
characters.
That only just popped in my head because of Heliar's character, but
Yeah.
she has a like unique posture for each. But anywho, the like I completely agree with you.
Yeah, no, it was
impressive.
fucking absolutely fun. His performance is enough of a reason to go see this movie on itself, I think.
Yeah, and the
It's
scene
that
where
fucking good.
it really is, and the scene where Smoke is fighting Vampire Stack. That's the scene where, like, as they're fighting, I'm like watching this fight. I'm into the movie, and then I had a thought. I was like, "This is the same dude."
Yeah,
Like, obviously they used
they used a lot of movie magic.
Yeah, but still, like, it's just a crazy thought to be like, this is the same actor as both characters.
Yeah.
So, and they did the movie magic was also very good. Too.
I mean, there was the movie magic, I guess that's more of like the picture part.
Yeah.
But, there was a couple towards the end when like the vampires start burning up, some of the CGI was a little wonky, but it was never enough that it like took me out of the movie. Like it's
Okay.
only in hindsight that I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see, I could tell it was computer generated.
Well, what did you think about the vampire burning? The one in the water who's
The
about
main
to.
vampire,
Yeah.
I thought it, like I said, it's, I can tell it's computer generated, but I'm a person who will always prefer practical effects. So my eyes are like trained to find CGI.
I
Does that
see.
make sense?
I
So
I honestly
I
thought.
don't think I don't think it's when I say I can tell something CGI, that doesn't instantly mean bad.
Okay.
That just means that my brain immediately creates a dissonance because I can tell that it's computer generated.
I see what you mean.
Um, but like thinking about it, I think his that vampire, the main vampire, his death, his performance,
Yeah.
his like actual motivations, everything was amazing.
Yeah,
I loved
absolutely.
all of it. He was fucking dude in his voice when he's speaking. I'm assuming his like character before he was a vampire was Irish. Do you hear the times when his like Irish accent comes in and out?
Yeah, definitely.
Because like he talks with the voices of other people. Because like it's the way vampires work in this movie is kind of like a hive mind
It is a
thing.
hive mind, yeah.
So like he's able to tap into the other people in the hive mind,
Mhm.
and like he
They
can
all
use
are.
their voices.
Yeah.
But like we hear sometimes it's like a couple times throughout the movie where you hear his Irish accent break back in, and it's like especially when he's singing. Oh my god, it's just it's so cool to like see like little details like that.
Yeah, dude. And
Sorry, I had to rant about that guy because he was just
he
awesome.
was awesome.
And the way they killed the vampires, like, yeah, I think it was a pretty good way.
Yeah. Cuz that just is another thing on like how good every performance was.
Yeah.
And
Now they definitely are part of one of the things I don't know if I loved in this movie
okay.
is the vampires, but I think maybe we just save that till after the PPP.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we do picture, performance, and plot, and then we do like the now what didn't you like?
Okay, yeah. That's cool.
Because I feel like I got a couple things, but they're a part of every category, so I just want to lump them together.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so
Well, honestly, I wanted to say that like cuz we brushed over the scene where they're going through the musical eras, but dude, that was one of the best scenes like I've seen in a while in a movie.
yeah, no, it was
Genuinely.
genuinely phenomenal to watch.
Because the funny thing is when that scene started, I was like, "Whoa, what is happening?" Like I was at first, I saw the dude with the electric guitar and the glasses, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And then the scene like keeps going, and it pulled me in immediately. Like I was thrown into it, and I couldn't like. That's the example I was thinking of when I said like I was glued to the screen, like genuinely.
It also goes on for like a bit too, which is great. I'm glad it wasn't like 10 seconds and then done.
Yeah, and it also,
Like it's almost a full song length.
dude, and it adds a lot to the symbolism of the movie because there's a ton.
There is an absolute ton, and a lot of it, it's like actual good symbolism where you have to think about it. Like
Yeah,
it's like symbolism you got to decipher. It's not on the nose and just in your face.
yeah, definitely. And also, like, we're not really qualified to talk about some of the maybe symbolism or subjects, but I mean, we understand. It's our perspective
Yeah, I
at the end of
mean,
the day.
we went to go see a movie, and this is how the movie affected us. But obviously, some people are probably more qualified to talk about some of the more touchy subjects covered in the movie.
Yeah, because this movie obviously has a lot to talk about race and culture.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's setting is it takes place in the 30s during like the Jim Crow era, which,
Yeah,
the KKK is around. All of our cast mostly are black people.
yeah,
So
and
there's a lot that like we can't really, like give too much insight on, but like this is just our perspective.
which honestly, it's a good place to segue into plot because talking about the symbolism,
Yeah.
like with the twins and kind of their whole thing of leaving Mississippi, going to Chicago, like leaving this life behind. Obviously, with them going there, realizing it's the same life, just painted differently, coming back, and just like the whole dichotomy between like how they're trying to elevate themselves and like they're trying to like get past. I don't know, like they're trying to like move up in this world that isn't letting them, and we kind of like get certain aspects of how I think Annie was her name, Smoke's wife,
Oh, yeah, it
or
definitely was Annie. You're
or
right.
not wife, I don't know, but and she's talking about how it's blood money, like you're and so on and so forth, and that's kind of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
But also, like, I want to talk to you about this, but the symbolism with the vampires, because well, obviously the first three vampires are like the three white, like the two KKK members, and then the one Irish dude,
Yeah.
which we don't know where he came from,
I assume the way I took it is that he's been a vampire for like a long time.
honestly.
And he said something about like his father in Ireland or something. So like it probably has to do with like some of the oppression that the Irish people faced,
Yeah.
you know, back even further in history.
Yeah.
So he probably has just been living solo this whole time. And like this is the moment where he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna get a group of
I
vampires.
mean, he was getting hunted by Native Americans too.
Yeah.
So,
There's
and they were
there's
just kind of there for a minute and then they dipped.
yeah, there's a lot this movie says about that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think with the three main vampires, I honestly I don't think the movie is portraying them as villains in that light. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because their whole thing was like, we don't see you guys like that. Because like the head vampire, a white guy, is talking to Smoke and Stack, which are black men.
Yeah.
And he's like, we don't see you guys like that. We just want you to be part of our family.
Yeah, which is what I was going to bring up, because it's like you said, they're a hive mind. And
Yeah.
it's like they're coming into like this community, this space, and they're saying like they want to join the spaces together, but at the same time they're sacrificing the individuality
For the whole.
for the whole. So it's
Yeah.
like, and that's kind of, I feel like that's the symbolism of them being like, join us so we can all join in this together, but at the same time you're sacrificing your own culture for that.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that is the thought. Like
Yeah,
that's what we're left
it's pretty
to chew
deep.
on. Yeah, definitely. And also, I liked how they did that with vampires, because it's like
It's so it's like it's supernatural and like not too heavy. You know what I mean? Like it gives it like a more of an ethereal where like you can actually stop and think versus like some like heavy on the nose shit. You know what I mean?
And being in like the Jim Crow era of America, and how with it being obviously white and black spaces being so segregated, and the idea of a vampire needing an invitation to be welcomed into a space.
I loved that
like
part.
that was just that was
Also,
awesome.
I will say I didn't know that they were vampires going into the movie.
Yeah.
I thought they were like demons or something. I knew there was monsters, but I didn't know they were vampires.
Right.
However, I called that they were going to be vampires before that the movie told us, because it was like the second time, like when they came up and they were like, "Hey, can we come in?" Like the three original vampires.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, can we come in?" And they didn't like try to get in any harder than that. I was like, "That's weird." And then I thought about it and I'm like, "Wait, the head vampire, like the head leader guy, he asked to get in to the original KKK's leader's son's house."
Yeah. Well,
And they let him in.
do you also remember how his skin was melting off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's very, I mean, it's not subtle because like obviously they show he has fangs and like blood on his mouth, but like again, I was under the impression they're going to be like demons or something, because
Yeah.
the movie's called Sinners and there's like heavy religious themes.
Yeah.
And then as the movie kept like furthering the let me in motif with
Mhm.
all the different characters, I was like, oh shit, these are vampires.
Dude, and I loved like
Like a full 10 minutes before Annie's like, yeah, I think they're vampires.
and I also like how the movie didn't make it like, whoa, vampires exist. They
Yeah.
didn't do it. They just Annie's character was like kind of the segue character for the rest of their.
She was like a witch character. Like she was a very spiritualistic person who like believed in otherworldly methods of like healing and protection.
Yeah, well, I
And
mean, I wouldn't call her a witch, but like she was.
well, I mean, witch isn't a negative word.
Yeah, no, okay, I get what you're saying, but like she was into like, she was very spiritual on like the otherworldly side.
Yeah, and Smoke was very like skeptic of it for like the entire movie.
Yeah, yep,
And then when shit started getting really weird, Annie stepped in and was like, "No, shut the fuck up. I know what I'm talking about. These
Yeah.
motherfuckers are vampires."
yes,
And they were all like, "Okay, well, Annie knows what she's talking about, so we're just gonna go with what she says.
Exactly.
Which is a very realistic mentality to have, and I love that. Versus
that's another thing. The
versus
characters were,
oh, we'll prove they're vampires. It's like,
Yeah.
shut up. The dude just got shot and got back up. Like,
don't be a dumbass.
Yeah, no, just fucking listen to her.
Yeah.
She's the only one who has any idea what's going on.
Yes.
So I'm glad that the movie went that route.
Yeah. And I also like the humor in the movie. Did you like the humor?
It was pretty good for the most part. I will say the one scene when like
I
there's
already know.
vampires outside and he's like, all right, eat this clove of garlic so I know you're not a vampire. And then the dude like fake chokes on the garlic. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was like,
he actually did choke. But it was
it was just overplayed. And that was like one of the times where I was like, okay, calm it down a bit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like egregious. I didn't think it was like negative or anything.
Slim, I think his name was.
Yeah, it was Slim.
He was fun.
He was a good comedic relief character. He was genuine. His movie was genuinely funny at times.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the scene where he's peeing out, not Slim, but what's his name?
Cornbread.
Where Cornbread was peeing outside. Dude. And he kept getting scared, and when he got scared, you could hear the stream stop.
The stream stopping
and then it would start back up.
Yeah,
and then he'd get scared again, and it would stop.
That's so realistic.
Yeah, dude, that was good. One other thing about the symbolism though that you were talking about is the music is regarded as a thing that like can get people through hard times.
Right.
And again, I'm not qualified, but I'm pretty sure that the blues was like a genre of music born out of this culture.
Most definitely,
from like people's in the Jim Crow like oppression era.
Mm.
And I think that this movie, the way it deals with music, like furthering someone's own life just through music is just, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, because it shows in that one scene where we see all the people, like all the different decades and eras of music coming together as one, it feels like a moment where the character is truly ascending past all of this oppression and horrifying reality shit that he has to live with and is just living a good life for 3 minutes through this song.
Yes.
It genuinely, it made me feel things. And I was like, that's beautiful. Because they like pull in, they have like an 80s rocker dude that's walking through the crowd. They got like tribal natives like
There's just a girl twerking.
Yeah, there's a girl twerking. There's like a dude with like a DJ setup.
Yeah.
Like all of these different eras of music coming together in this one barn, all tied together by this guy's song. And it was so fucking beautiful. It was just, and the fact that it's all a one shot too.
Yes.
Like the choreography of that scene, the scene of it going up, the camera going up into the sky through the embers and then
the
coming
walls
down.
Are burned down.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. Everything about that scene.
So that's another thing. Like the music, it burns down the walls. Like it's like everybody can come together within it because it's like there's no need to put the walls up.
Yeah, no, it's
like,
the music it pulls people in. It's like this it's not the hive mind is not the space where we should all be one. It's this music where there is just, it's just people living for a minute.
Yeah.
It's just fucking beautiful. Oh my God, it was so good.
It was, dude. And also with the music, how Annie's character talks about bringing good and in bad spirits or bringing like the good and the evil at the same time, like with like how music can do that. And that is like also some more of the symbolism or foreshadowing of how the music brings their entire community together in the what's it called again? The juke joint, right?
The juke joint, I think is what they called it.
But at the same time that it like that music like draws in the vampires as they're like trying to, like they want that now. It's like, oh yeah.
No, because that's what the head vampire says a couple of times is he's like, I want your song.
Yep.
He's like, I want your story.
Yeah. He wants, yeah, exactly. Which the hive mind, but also.
Yeah, it's a vampire, but it is symbolically the hive mind taking in cultures and making it part of their
like appropriation.
Yeah, exactly. Essentially cultural appropriation.
And then also how at the very end, which this is another thing I'm still chewing on. I don't even know what to think.
I don't
about
know
the
what to think
10
about
minutes of the movie.
I don't either, dude.
At all.
It was honestly hilarious because, well, like this big climactic scene of Smoke fighting off a bunch of the KKK members.
Yeah.
Which I want to talk about that when we get to the negatives.
Okay.
Not for any not for any negative reasons.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I need to
Okay.
put that out there. But that scene happens, and then it cuts back. It shows that Sammy is like driving, and we don't know where he's driving to. And then the scene, like
It shows
credit,
his guitar. He still has his
credits
guitar.
start rolling.
Yeah.
They're not like full end credit scene. You know what I mean? But like credits start playing on the screen, and everyone in our theater started getting up and walking out.
Yeah.
And then the screen, like the credits stop, and a
'Cause it-
whole scene starts playing.
Well, because it's showing the old version of him playing the blues while the
Yeah.
credits are rolling. So then you think it's like, oh, it's showing us that, he stuck to it till, he grew old. Like, half the theater's gone at this point.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that all of the people that hadn't left yet were still standing there at the exits, and they just stood there and finished the movie.
Yeah, because
As
also,
there was like 12 people just sitting down by the exit doors because the movie blended the credits and the end scene so well.
and we didn't want to leave because we were like, I want to listen to this band keep singing.
Yeah, no, it was really good.
It was. But
But-
then, thankfully, but then the end credit scene happened, and then I was like, I don't even know what to think now.
Yeah, so basically the end credit scene, Sammy's still rocking the blues into the 90s, right?
Yeah.
They said the 90s. So this is like 60
years.
60
removed,
years from the main events of the movie. And he's old now. He's got scars on his face from that night, that fateful night at the juke joint. And he like finishes up a show and sits down when in comes Vampire Stack and Vampire
Yeah. Haley Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld.
Mary, I think.
Because they reveal that Haley Steinfeld's character, I think you're right, I think it is Mary.
Yeah.
Mary ran away during the big confrontation with the vampires. And Stack never got killed. When Smoke and Stack
Dude,
had
and
their
I
big
literally-
altercation, he couldn't bring himself to kill Stack.
Because the fact that Stack was never shown being killed, I was like, he's got to be still alive. But then the credits rolled, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But then obviously, he
And
was
they
still
come
alive.
in and they're wearing like 90s attire too. And
Yeah.
it's very clear they've just been living their lives together. And at this moment, I was expecting Stack to be like, okay, well, I've tracked you down. I'm going to kill you now so you can join me. But it was honestly, it was weird because Stack was like, I promised Smoke that night that I wouldn't lay a hand on you. I just want to hear you play one more time.
Which is another thing, because it's like, because they still have some of their individuality.
I think it's because the head vampire is gone. Now it's just those two. Because all the other vampires died in the sunlight.
That's
as
what I
well.
wasn't sure about. Like, was it only the head vampire that had the hive mind? Or
I
was
think-
it all of them? Because
I think since he's the one who started the infection, I think he held the hive mind.
Yeah.
However, when the head of the hive mind is gone, the individuals, the hive mind can be individual. I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, see, I wasn't sure.
The movie
I still
never
don't know.
really
We still
explains
really
it.
don't know.
It doesn't ever really explain it, and I think that's just me headcanoning it, but, they come in, they listen to him play one more time, and Stack is like, I'm offering you immortality. You can keep playing forever. And Sammy's like, no, I don't want to live forever. I've seen enough of this fucked up world.
Yeah. And also, what's the last thing they say? It's like, oh, they talk about that night, how it was the best night of their
Yeah,
lives and
dude.
the worst night of their lives.
Yeah, because Sammy was like, I want to know, is it the same for you? But before the sun went down, that was the best day of my life I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And Vampire Stack was like, yeah, it was me too.
Yeah.
It was the last time I got to see my brother and the sun. And honestly, it's a sad scene, but like, it's also a little out of the blue. So it's very mixed for me. I don't know how I feel about it. I definitely wouldn't say I hate it.
Yeah, it almost is given to us because it's an end credit scene. It's like an alternate ending, I feel like.
I think so.
So
Because the original, like, before the credits start rolling, Sammy is just driving off.
yeah.
So you would think, like, he just goes to,
Well, and it shows him with his guitar, so we
Yeah,
know
so
he's going to be a performer.
he's going to Chicago. Which is another thing, is I think when I saw that Sammy still went, because, like, the whole thing between Sammy and Smoke was, like, Smoke was telling him, like, don't go to Chicago, like, it's not,
You have what you need here.
yeah, like, you don't need to do that. And Sammy was like, I'm going to Chicago. And then Sammy still went to Chicago.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, before the credits, I was like, okay, so he still did what he wanted to do from the beginning. Like, Sammy didn't really get an arc other than seeing some horrible shit.
Well, but at the end, he stayed in Chicago. He never came back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's the arc.
That's
yeah.
the arc. But I'm saying before the credits roll, he didn't really get an arc,
Yeah.
And then when we see him as an old man in Chicago,
You're right. I see what you're saying.
And he gets offered the opportunity to rock forever, and he's like, "No, I don't need to rock forever. I've lived my life."
Yeah.
I think that's his actual arc,
Yeah.
is we see that maturity come through in him.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
I will
So,
say, what are you gonna say?
do you want to hop into negatives?
Negatives. I don't have too many negatives, so it's not gonna be super long. But I will say the jump from like, the beginning, the vibe switches of the movie are a bit jarring at times to me, because at the beginning of the movie it goes from almost feeling like a historical drama to then at the juke joint it feels like a horror movie, to when the vampires attack it feels like an action movie.
Hmm.
And I don't think any of it is negative. I think like it's a bit jarring, but I still think the vibe shifts work, except for when Smoke kills the KKK members after that night. It just felt a little out of place. And I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed watching him murder the KKK members.
Okay.
And I enjoyed the
Yeah.
scene. I enjoyed the scene where because he got shot during the altercation, and he sees his wife before he dies and like his child who was never born.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. It was a good moment for Smoke's character. But I'm just sitting here and I'm like, well, if he just left and never came back, like the KKK members wouldn't have found him. So like I guess from like a moral standpoint, it's good to kill those guys, but you know,
Well,
was it really necessary for him to stay?
well,
And it's like, our big action sequence with the vampires is done. They're all dead. And then it's like another action sequence of Smoke killing like another group of like 30 dudes.
yeah.
It felt a little jarring and out of place. Now, I enjoyed the scene. It's just it felt almost like a different movie. You know what I mean? With like him hiding in the trees and like putting his wars, because he's a war veteran.
Soldier, yeah.
Yeah, putting like his soldier skills to use. It almost feels like a different movie. Does that
Okay.
does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I honestly felt like I felt like because they set up the fact that the building was a slaughterhouse and they bought it from this KKK dude, and that kind of played into the fact that didn't. I feel like they knowingly, maybe not knowingly, but they knew that this dude wasn't a good dude.
Well,
Like they set that up,
yeah, no, they definitely
and the
did.
fact that they set that up, I feel like that last scene, because they also it was a parallel because while that scene was happening, uh, Sammy.
Sammy,
Yes, sorry, I'm so bad with names.
you're good.
Sammy was going back to his father and was showing the introductory scene again. So it was
Yeah,
like
yeah, you're
paralleling.
right. You're right. Because it was paralleling the life that Smoke has lived because he's been on the run trying to, you know, escape his past
Yeah. And like you
versus
said,
how Sammy is being in the midst of these people who love him.
yeah, exactly. And like you said, the chain reaction of like them getting the juke joint, like that last scene right there is basically like the end because the whole like chain reaction of like the events of the vampires showing up there was all started because they decided to do this. They decided to buy this place. So like that's like the payoff at the end of them of Smoke essentially first of all getting revenge, but also he
I will
kills a bunch
say,
of KKK guys. So like
yeah,
cool.
it's awesome to watch. It is a good action sequence. I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything about the actual like sequence itself. I'm just saying like the placement of the sequence was a little weird for me. Um,
No,
but
I
I
get
will
what you're
say
I
it
get what you're
honestly, the
saying.
more that I'm thinking about it right now, it kind of makes sense too because Smoke is a very stoic, like honored bound dude
Yeah.
throughout the movie. So it makes sense that like because at the beginning of the movie, when they bought the place, they told the guy, they're like, if you and your clan buddies show up, we're gonna fucking kill you.
Exactly.
And then he's like, the clan buddies are gonna show up, so I'm gonna kill them.
And he also was
And
like
he follows his word.
and they talked about the blood on the floor and all that.
Yeah, it's also like I feel like at that point, Smoke kind of is like, I don't have because throughout the
And
movie,
he
it's
literally dies.
it's another thing where he's like, without Stack, I'm not a person. Stack is my other half.
Yeah.
So Smoke and Stack are like the same dude to each other. Like they feel like they love each other on a deeper level than just brothers.
Yeah.
So I feel like since Stack is dead and he doesn't have a family and he's been like on the run his whole life, it's probably like a character. It's probably the end of his arc, and he's like,
But it is
you
interesting that
know,
we learned that he
I'm
didn't kill Stack.
yeah.
So he knew Stack was still alive. But
Yeah, but Stack is dead. He's a vampire.
yeah, and either way, also like his wife
Yeah. He had
and
to kill his
he had
wife,
to
too.
kill his wife.
Dude, that night was traumatic for Smoke most of all,
Which I
I
also
think.
thought, like the scene of him killing his wife, and then Mary and Stack are both react to it. They're like, "No, don't kill her." It's like they still have,
Yeah.
which that was also interesting because it's like that makes you think even more. Like, wait, what?
I think that's because they had personal ties to her, and, like, they were still newborn vampires.
Yeah, but it just makes you think the fact that they still wanted them to all join
Yeah,
the
no, it
hive
was very
mind,
much like they were
even though
being
they still
brainwashed.
are part of themselves. Yeah.
I was getting their brainwashed into thinking the hive mind was
Mm,
a good place to be at. I think that's, like, what it was.
yeah.
And that was still part of them, like, thinking, "No, but now she can't join us." And then later on in life, they're like, "Yeah, we're still vampires." So,
Yeah, no, she can't join us is probably a good way to say it too. That's another side of it. Like, that's another life that doesn't get to be a part of our joint mind. But I would say like one thing, I don't know if I would say it's a negative, but it was probably just for me the weakest part of the movie was when the Chinese woman, she
yeah,
lets all the vampires in.
you're right. You're
She
right.
lets all the vampires in, which I don't necessarily think that was a bad choice for the movie to do
It,
because she just lost her husband as to the vampire. She's potentially going to lose her daughter. She has nothing left, and so that's fine.
she wanted them dead. She wanted to kill
Yeah,
them. See, I agree with that. And when we were watching the movie, I was like, I also had that like, oh my God, that's so dumb of you to do. But it makes sense for her character because like she's pissed off. She wants them dead because they're threatening her daughter.
right. And
But
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead, go ahead.
I think the part where that is like lessened is where she just kind of lets herself die with her husband. Like she just sits on top of him while they both burn.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I was
Yeah, no,
gonna say,
she stakes him, and then like the Molotov fire like hits
oh,
her, and
okay,
like she burns with him.
yeah.
And I was like, well, now their fucking kid just doesn't have parents.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess, well, the reason I brought her up though is like when she lets them all in, just I was more gonna comment on the whole action scene of them fighting the vampires. Like that wasn't like that was more of the low point in the movie for me because there were some parts of it that were really cool, but I was more so like when it was Smoke and Stack fighting, that was cool. And then the scene where Slim like slits his wrist and he like attracts them all. But at the same time, it's like, dude, there's like 75 vampires versus six of you. And I feel like that scene lasted a little longer than it
Yeah,
probably would have.
I will
But
say
I didn't like hate it.
I didn't
I
hate it
liked
either.
watching it.
I didn't hate it either, but I think there might have been like a continuity error in that scene.
Yeah.
Because if there's like four people that get killed by vampires in that scene.
Yeah.
There weren't that many people in the barn.
No, there was. It
It was
shows
essentially just our main cast.
it shows all of them die. Like the only people who survive is Sammy.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's like four extras that like get killed by vampires.
Oh, I don't think so.
I definitely think so. Because I remember there was like one random dude who like gets pinned on the ground and his neck gets bitten out. And I was like, wait,
Oh,
who the
I don't
fuck is that?
I don't know. I don't think they're. I don't know. I don't remember that.
I don't know. Maybe we'll just rewatch it. Like
Maybe.
I said, though, it's not like it doesn't take away from the movie enough where I was like, I really thought about it after the scene.
No, I was more so saying that's like I didn't hate that. I liked that part of the movie, but it was the low point of the movie for me.
I think agreed.
Until like leading like the part where all the vampires die, like that was I loved that
That
scene.
scene was fucking
Love
epic.
that scene.
Epic.
But just like but then again, like this movie, the action this movie wasn't an action movie.
No, it
So
wasn't.
if that part was a low point for me, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah. I also think because like the whole like clan slaughter at the end was also an action sequence. So I think like maybe the movie's just action sequences just didn't feel as high as like the symbolic like beautiful sequences.
You're right. And the action scenes
They were like well made.
were well choreographed. But like you said, it was like more so maybe the continuity of also just I don't know. Action sequences just suffer from that a lot though because realistically, do we know what would actually happen in a scene like that?
No.
No. So
No.
we can't really critique it
Yeah.
because it was done like it was acted well and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
do,
dude.
do you have any more negatives on the movie? Because I don't. The
No,
whole
honestly.
and honestly, the whole clan slaughter scene was my like only like negative, and then I've kind of turned around on it because I think it like kind of fills Smoke's character arc.
Yes, exactly.
I will say though, the I can't remember her name, but her husband's name was Bo, the Chinese lady.
Yeah,
Her
I don't remember her name either.
her death, I will stand. I don't. Now that I'm remembering it, I don't like that death.
Okay.
That's probably like my only like actual critique
I don't remember it
where I'm like,
being like anything like that. I don't know.
we get
though.
like 3 shots of her sitting on top of Bo with a wooden stake in his heart as they're both burning.
Yeah. Well, okay. I don't know. I'm not gonna say.
I'm just saying
I'm not
she
gonna
had
argue
enough
with you
time to
because I
like.
don't remember.
She had enough time to get that fire out,
Okay, fair
and he
enough.
was dead.
Okay.
So,
I'll trust you. I guess.
that's like my one thing, but again, it doesn't take away from the movie.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Juice,
Yeah.
what are you rating this movie out of 10?
Out of 10, I'm gonna give it. See, I was thinking about this. Like, do we use decimals? Do we use points?
I feel like points always just complicate things.
They do.
They always like, because I mean, yeah, if I say 8.7, that means I really liked it. It's close to a 9, but also just say 8
Yeah.
or just say 9 if it's that close.
Yeah.
So I think we stick to non-decimals.
Yeah.
Or maybe, do you want to give a letter grade?
No,
No?
I don't know what letters are. That's too much work.
You know, S, A, B, C, D,
I
E,
can
F?
count to 10. I don't know the alphabet.
All right. Well, that's just because you're uneducated.
I know, but I appreciate you thinking I'm educated.
Yeah. I mean, I can.
Until you just call me uneducated.
Well, you just proved that you
I
were
can
uneducated.
count to 10.
Yes, but you just literally showed to me in real time that you are a foolish man.
I'm rating this an 11 out of 10.
Foolish.
Realistically, though, I think I would give it a 9 out of 10.
I also think I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, because it feels like the reason I asked about decimals is I feel like I want to give it a 9.5. Like I feel like this movie is only not a 10 because I don't know. But at the same time, I think it's just because of the tiny, like I feel like I feel like this is a movie that it just takes time to you just got to chew on it, man.
If we were
Not
to
saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying like
No, that's
my
not a bad
score
thing.
might even go to a 10.
If we were to do decimals, I'd probably say like an 8.7. I don't think it's getting higher than a 9 for me. There were like those small gripes I had, and even the ones that I've come around on, like without the ones that I've come around on. There's like small things throughout the movie,
Yeah.
like very tiny, minute things that do not affect like the movie as a whole. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I saw them, and it kind of, to get a 10 out of 10 from me, it has to quite literally blow my fucking balls off
That's
from
really
the
what
first
I'm
viewing.
saying.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And like this movie was amazing. I will stand that it is a great movie. However, it was not absolute perfection in my eyes upon first viewing, and that's usually what gets a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. But
So I'm gonna say 9.
a couple of 9s, dude.
2 9s from 2 different dudes with 2 different
From-
opinions.
that are random people on this earth.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
this
a
movie
pretty good score.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I'd say that
and we're really we're really qualified to score things.
Yeah, we're more qualified than Roger Ebert, one might say.
Yeah. Wait, who?
Roger Ebert?
Is that a director?
No, dude, that's like a famous film critic.
See, I thought you were talking about Robert Eggers. That's who I was just
No, Robert
thinking of.
Eggers, he makes good movies.
He does make good movies.
But Roger Ebert, different guy.
Yeah. So there it is, folks. That's our review of Sinners.
And that's their first episode of the review room, dude.
It is, man. And how long was that? Was this going to be like close to an hour?
A little under an hour, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know. Maybe it's too long. Maybe not. But that's kind of that's what we do.
I feel like we'll usually try to aim for like 40 to 50 minutes for review room episodes.
Yeah, especially and if it's something we hate, it might be 4 hours.
Yeah, because when me and him hate something, we can go in.
We could go in.
We love to play off each other.
Yeah, and we absolutely.
I'm thinking of when we watched Companion the other day.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
A lot of people like that movie.
I know a lot of people like it. I don't get it.
No.
It was actually dog shit.
Yeah, so this is our 10-second review of Companion. We didn't like it.
Dog shit.
All right, anyways, moving on.
Right.
So we
let us I think let us know if there's anything you want to see us review.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we'll do review rooms on like other things too, I think.
Movies
like,
and shows.
Yeah, not just things that are new either. I think we can go back and like do some old properties, eventually.
Definitely. And also with our other show, The Exposition Seat, whenever we finish a franchise on there, we're gonna hop over to the review room and do our do our final analysis of that. So like,
Agreed.
yeah, so we talk about video games and books over there, and right now we're talking about Mistborn and Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, and when we're done with those franchises, you can expect the review rooms on those might be a bit longer, just because there's so much
Yeah,
content to
we'll have a
cover.
lot. We'll have a lot more to
Yeah.
dive into, other than like like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
But
So, I mean, the review room, it's going to be kind of wishy-washy, like flexible. So don't expect a perfect structure yet. Again, first episode.
yeah, we're
We're figuring it out.
we're figuring it out.
But, first episode, Sinners, good movie.
Good movie. Watch it.
I'd also say watch it.
And also,
Unless you're a KKK member, because then you probably
okay,
won't like the movie.
yeah, but you should still watch it. You'll have a lot to learn.
Yeah, you'll have a lot to learn. And you'll have to realize that you're definitely in the wrong.
Definitely.
You got a wrong mindset, buddy.
Yeah, and also, feel free to comment what you got from this movie too, because a lot of different things, a lot of different takes.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a lot of things this movie says.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
it had so much that obviously we can't delve into everything.
Yeah, for real. A lot of great things that we probably didn't even mention. So
Yeah.
thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Tune in next week for the exposition seat. Be back on track. Spotify and YouTube, Pigpen Podcast.
Yeah, man. Both
Um,
channels, no
yep.
spaces in our name.
Yep.
Just so you know, folks.
And for sure, leave some comments and stuff of what you would like to see us review in the future.
Definitely.
100%. But with that being said, I think that's the closer.
Yeah, and we love you guys. We're emotionally attached to all of you.
I have a parasocial relationship with my fans. I probably shouldn't say that.
Okay.
I probably should not say that.
I'll be the one to say it. I have a parasocial relationship with all of our fans.
There, he said it. He said it, folks.
Not with you though, only our fans.
Yeah, well, I don't want one with you.
I would hate that.
Fucking nasty chode.
I would literally despise living.
Dude, you look like a donkey sack. I don't want a fucking social relationship.
First
with
of
you.
all, my mother birthed me. Are you saying she looks like a donkey sack too?
No, dude, genetics work differently, bro.
Do they?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean,
You're saying my mom's a donkey and my dad's a sack? Is that what you're saying right now?
Well, I'm just saying, you're not
I'm going to fight you.
Are you going to become a sinner?
I am going to have.
That was the full circle moment.
Yeah, it was, and that's why I couldn't say anything. I couldn't speak on it anymore.
Because you knew that if you kept going, it would ruin the bit.
Yep. All right, guys.
All right, oink oink, everybody. We'll see you next week.
I hate you.
Fuck off.
My mother is a beautiful woman.
And your dad's a donkey sack.